Hey everybody, it's Michael B, and welcome to a new year of Chill and Chat. New year, but the same old me. So tonight on the show, we're going to be talking about Arcade1Up, and it's pretty easy to see going out from last year. They had a pretty rough year with some fan lashbacks, some negativity around disastrous product releases, and of course it seems like they had a lot of trouble selling products, or that's the way it seems on the outside, with sale after sale and discount after discount. So tonight I'm not doing a prediction show. This is more a suggestion show, talking about what they need to do in 2023 to be successful. Hopefully this is a fun show. Most importantly, thank you so much everybody for being here. This is Chill and Chat with Michael B. So guys, first thing I want to do, I want to say hello to some people here in the chat. I'm seeing some awesome people. Glenn's Retro Show and hashtag TronGate. Still to this day, I don't understand why Arcade1Up and Glenn's Retro Show couldn't have come to some kind of working agreement and put Glenn's parts in their machines. It couldn't have been a cost issue. It's ridiculous. Glenn makes good parts. Check them out. And the other thing, for those of you that are looking for a great review on Glenn's Build-A-Cade, it's next up in my list. I'm going to start this week, so expect to see my review of the GRS Build-A-Cade coming up. And also, if you haven't seen it yet, go check out Zabo's Arcade. He released some Robotron artwork for today, and of course, that speaks to me so hard. All right, so let's see who else is here in the chat. I see Sean Nesbitt, Tom Reed, Pitbull, who you can't see right now because he's put a dirty word in there with a hashtag, but there he is. Biggie D's Arcade, who we're going to talk about a little later on. Renee Games Jr., MJ Lahi, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. JT Brumwick, Jason, Kevin Clausen, Con Storm Entertainment, Steve V's Man Cave Arcade. Steve, it's nice to see you here. I know you usually can't make it. Bill's Retro Gaming Show, Wild Bill, Chris Zeke. Hi, Mike and chat. Chris, how's things working out with the At Games Legends Pinball? Let me know if you need any help getting a back box. I'll see what I can do and talk to the guys that buy stuff. Carl O, Brent S, JJ, Sterling Hall, always good to see you, man. Kurt Mason, Mike George, Tom Reed, Fam Ferguson, Jason Mucha, Andy's Game Room, El Capitan, Goofyfoot, good to see you, brother. Galaga Guy, 88, Bobby Timpson, Mitchell B, Stock Jock, The Bad Guy Mike Worley, Sir Sega, Oxcade, Made in Canada, just like me, The Real Ism, and Multicade Matt, Dangerous Danny Davis, Anthony Vitale. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Cornercade, Rody8105, Carlos Sanchez, RWX Studio, Material Defender. I think we might, Shannon's on. We're getting there. and Nick P0584. Some of the guys earlier before the show started were talking about what the plans were for dinner. So nice to see you. Mike Hawkhurts is here. Good to see you too. Dwayne Zapan and Bounty Hunter Comics. I think I have everybody now, so let's get started. So, guys, OTG's here as well. Thank you very much for coming, OTG. Nice to see you, brother. I didn't miss you, Mike Hawkhurts. Of course I wouldn't do that. DW, too. So, guys, like I said in the opening, from the outside looking in, because we don't know everything. Oh, there's 19K Fox. I can't forget Foxy. Fox and Socks. So, from the outside looking in, because let's be serious here, none of us work for Arcade1Up, we're all fans. Some of the stuff from the past year has made it look like Arcade1Up had a bit of a rough year last year. There were some delayed product releases, mess up with Killer Instinct, of course Terminator 2 came out late, Ridge Racer came out late, and then the releases last year were a lot less than in previous years, and then the big releases that did come out seemed to be fumbled at the goal line. Yes, that is a football reference, of course. So, here's the deal. Going forward in 2023, obviously, they're going to have to make some changes. So, what I've done tonight, P-Dub said this in his show earlier on, everybody's already made their information sheets and what predictions for Arcade1Up in 2023 should be, or suggestions for Arcade1Up in 2023 should be. And yeah, a lot of people have done that. So, I've taken information from a lot of people's other shows, because I do watch other people as well, and I'm going to put my spin on it and say what I think as well. 19K Fox is going to be mentioned. Also, I've got to mention Kongs R Us, because Kongs had John D on a show himself, and to be honest, John D said some of the very things that I'm going to suggest as well. He was very honest about them. Hopefully, Arcade1Up can actually do them. Mike Hawkhurts says, I hope we get WrestleFest. It looks like there's already a pixel rework happening that I'm hoping is intended for the potential Arcade1Up release. Pixel rework? I don't want a pixel rework. I just want WrestleFest. Make WrestleFest. Don't do like Blitz. Just make WrestleFest. That's all you need to do. Anyways, guys, so 2023 Arcade1Up is definitely going to have to change who they are. But first off, I have to talk about what they're going to have to do right out of the gate, because obviously the company needs to survive. They need money. So if you watched my show earlier today, my video, I talked about one of the things that Arcade1Up does for the money is they sell to retailers, and they sell very specific cabinets. So we've got CES coming up in 5 days, and this is a prediction but also a suggestion, and kind of both, because I think this is what they're going to do. What we can expect to see at CES 2023 is legacy cabs. And the reason why is Arcade1Up needs to pay the bills. So they need to get out there, sell cabinets to retailers so they have money to do other stuff as the year goes on. So the first thing I'm going to say, which is not the first thing I would hope they do, but the first thing they're going to do because of the way things line up, is they're going to release legacy cabs. I put them on the thumbnail to this video because it's going to happen. So what we're going to get coming up this week, I think we're going to get to see a Bandai Namco release. We'll see another Pac-Man or something in those lines. Like, I'm pretty sure it's still going to be Pac-Man. It's a bit of a hard one because Arcade1Up doesn't like to put the same art on the cabinet, so it might be something really wacky. Like, I'll go off the rails here and suggest something. Maybe remember what they did with that Miss Pac-Man cab this year, where they made the outside black? Maybe they're going to do something like that. It's going to be a bullshit artwork. I'll call it that. Bullshit artwork Pac-Man Legacy cabinet this year. 14 games or more. We'll see what they do there, but hopefully they change up the lineup slightly, because the lineup has been pretty similar for the last couple years, and it has online molded coin door. Hopefully it looks good. That's my guess. Number 2, of course, they're going to release a new Midway Legacy. That's my guess as well. So what I'm expecting this year, but I could be wrong, is I think we're going to get a new Midway Legacy, same body as they had last year, because there was nothing wrong with that. The body was perfect. Like, I mean, the form factor of the cabinet was goddamn excellent. So I think we're going to get another Midway Legacy and then Mortal Kombat style. But this year, I think it's going to be, Mortal Kombat 2. But there's an outside chance, going back to John D on Kongs R Us stream, where he said, actually, We are working on MK4. We've heard the community outrise. I don't know if there's actually that much demand in the community. I think there's a very designated, loud voice coming from the fighting game community that are saying free MK4. I think if you did a survey, it would get less results than Qbert did on that survey you keep making fun of. But I think MK4 is an outside chance for what may be on that Midway Legacy cab. The other reason I say this is because that Midway Legacy cab that they have coming out, I've been told before, they have trouble and they struggle to find games to put on the cabinet. So I was disappointed the last couple of years. I don't think Paperboy should be on there because it doesn't have the right controls. I'm not a Klax fan, so maybe MK4 is there because they're trying to find games that work. Anthony Vitale, free MK4. For the people that want MK4, awesome. I hope it does happen. I think there's a chance that's what we're going to get in the Midway Legacy cab that's going to release coming up at CES. And then last but not least, I think it's a chance that we might get 4 Legacy or we might get 3. If we get 3, I believe we'll get another Atari Legacy cabinet as well. All the same features as last year's Legacy cab, but maybe a different game this time. So the last 2 years, we've seen Tempest, we've seen Centipede. Maybe they go with something else. Maybe they go back to Asteroids. Maybe they take a look at Missile Command, but we'll get another Atari Legacy cab. Now, the outside, which I say is because this one was delayed last year, is a new Capcom Legacy cabinet. And of course, I think the art on it will be Street Fighter again because they sell Street Fighter to Walmart. That's what Walmart buys. So I think we're going to see Street Fighter, but hopefully it's something else. Maybe this year they've expanded. They're looking at adding maybe Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter Alpha, something along those lines, and they give us a different artwork package. I just hope that next year they do something that's more of an arcade recreation instead of just whatever it is. And if you like the art on it, that's cool. I didn't. I want Arcade1Ups to be arcade recreations. That's where I am with it, and I understand if you don't, so it's fine. So Zero Redux says, sounds like a blueprint on how to ruin your company. Listen, I'm not talking about what I want. I'm talking about how they can make their quick money. I'm not saying that's all they do this year. I'm just saying that's what they do up front. Sell to the Walmart, sell to the Best Buys. I do believe Danny Davis with a good comment that got blocked for some reason, so I'm throwing it up there because I think it had the word shit in it, so I'm making sure it's there. But you caught me off guard there. I lost my track because of that. But anyways, I know legacy cabs aren't what everybody wants. Like us in the core fan base, how many times are we going to buy Pac-Man? How many times are we going to buy Street Fighter? How many times are we going to buy Mortal Kombat? But at the end of the day, like I said in my video earlier, I don't think Arcade1Up's first priority is selling to the consumer so much as selling to the retailer. And then the hope is that what the retailer wants, which they have to sell to, is a necessary component of their business model, will be able to sell these cabinets to people. But I understand as well that the more they offer these same cabinets over and over and over again, people are going to get tired of them, and you're only going to be able to sell so many Pac-Mans, so many Street Fighters, and so many Mortal Kombats and Atari cabinets to people, so we'll see what happens. But I think that's the first thing they're going to do. So that's my suggestion / prediction, and I hope they sell a bunch of them to fund the activities for the rest of the year, and we can talk about more of the stuff we hope to see later on in the show. But first off, I want to talk about the most pressing need of what Arcade1Up needs to do before they do anything else, and that is clue up loose ends from last year. So my first suggestion is before they focus on anything, before they make any other announcements, any other cab issues, before they even breathe. It's okay, you're going to do your legacy cabs. That's how you make your money. We understand. But before you do anything else, release the online for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Get that working, get that out of the way so people can basically get on with their lives. They can get this bad taste out of their mouth that they currently have for you because of the disastrous releases of these cabinets last year. You came through on Blitz. I mean, Blitz still doesn't have late hits. It's never going to. But the online is fantastic. The online is really, really good. I've been having a ton of fun with it. And, thanks to the sales and thanks to picking up this cabinet at a discount and now playing online, this is one of my favorite experiences you guys have put out in a while, just because it works really well. I'm glad that you got the online out. Should have been done before you released the cab, but now that it's out, it's fantastic, and more people should be playing it. And I feel like the same thing will happen once you release the online for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So don't do anything else. Just release online for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. All right, guys, we got a $10 super chat from Danny Davis here. And Danny Davis says $10 for the swear jar. Thank you so much, Danny Davis. I super appreciate this. And guys, forgive me for doing this, but this is a bit of an inside joke that myself, Console Kits, and 19K Fox came up with the other day. And that is, you know how he sends people to the pit? Well, when someone gives me a super chat, I've got a special thing lined up as well. I'll run an ad. I don't know if that actually worked or not. Please don't hate me, guys. It's just a joke. I'll never do it again. Never, I swear. Hey, Cornercade, what's happening, brother? Thanks again, by the way, Danny Davis, for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Console fanboy, Robotron came first. Smash TV is the ripoff. I completely agree. And fix Marvel vs. Capcom 2 should be first priority. I agree, Papa Brad. That's what I just said. The only thing is, company still needs to keep the lights on, so they got to make a little bit of money first. So throw those legacy cabs out there to Walmart and all that other shit. 1 second, guys. Hot start, so I'm just getting a sip of coffee here. So, guys, I also want to go back and talk about what Arcade1Up should do after that. One of the big things that I think Arcade1Up kind of fails at is their communication strategy. Like, it's one thing that Arcade1Up doesn't necessarily do very well, and I don't know why that is. I mean, they seem like a pretty competent company. They're based on tastemakers. They've been making Hatchimals for years. They obviously know what they're doing. Bennett Dutch with a $1.99 super chat. Really cool suggestion here. Rampage skin legacy collection, MK Pro, please. I love the Rampage cabinet they did originally. I'd love to see another Rampage. Like, if they do the secondary offerings like they did last year with Joust, and last year like they did with Dig Dug, maybe a Rampage skin for that MK cab they're going to come out with would be an awesome idea. Again, I think they've got to sell to Walmart first, so I don't know if that'll be there, but if Shop Hippo is still an option, maybe we get a Rampage skin legacy as well as a secondary version. That's a really cool suggestion. Thank you very much. So, going back to the communication strategy, a couple things need to change. So right now, Arcade1Up's communication it's kind of awful. Like, I'll bring up something. I just got to bring up my email here and see if I can find it. I probably shouldn't be sharing personal emails, but I just want to bring this up for you. I want to talk about a small company that's doing it right. Console Kits told me about this the other day, and I think this is so true. And I saw it from somebody else today, and I was like, yeah, that makes a huge difference. I am so close to the screen. Where is it? And of course, I won't be able to find it now. No, because it's on my other email, my work email, so I can't show you that. Anyways, I will just tell you about it. So I got an email from Buy Stuff Arcades today, and one of the things I talked about a ton last year, was I was going to get the Buy Stuff Backbox 2.0. Well, Christmas Day, something came over me, and I pulled the trigger. I got the Backbox 2.0. It's coming. But you know, they have a release time of 1 to 3 weeks. So far, I've heard nothing from them. But you know what they did? They know that they're overloaded right now with orders coming out, and they want to keep people's expectations in check. So they sent an email out just telling people about how their production process was going and when we could expect to see some products and what they were doing to alleviate the situation. Now, it probably doesn't mean much at the end of the day, but it's just nice to get some kind of communication update like that. You actually see the same stuff sometimes from Replicade and from the other company, Quarter Arcades. They'll send out on their social media updates on when we can expect to see products, when products are reaching the docks and stuff like that. And Evercade, Justin told me, Justin purchased the Evercade EXP. He got an update about what was happening due to the terrible situation that came up that said that, where their machines got robbed. And what he did at that time was, Evercade actually sent an email out to give people updates on when they can expect to see their products. I don't know why Arcade1Up has a different mindset about how to communicate with your consumers. I don't know if they're trying to emulate like bigger companies like Nintendo and Microsoft. Like they think that they have to dress for the job that they want, not the job they have. That's the second time I've said that today. But the funny thing about this is they don't understand that those bigger companies have developed a level of trust, a level of confidence in the community, in their product, and what they're offering. That's why they're allowed those kind of, I guess you would call it gaps or breaks. Like, we've already known that Nintendo is like a 40-year-old company, actually much older than that, because they started selling playing cards. They even had love hotels. Look it up if you want to look it up. It's actually hilarious. Love hotels. And then after that, they became this toy company and gaming company that's become a juggernaut. So, if Nintendo says they're going to come out with a product like Metroid Prime 4, you know what? We're going to give them a little leeway. We don't need up-to-date expectations and answers. We don't need answers from the company on things they're doing. But with Arcade1Up, you guys aren't that old. We don't know how long you're going to be around or what's out there. And especially with what happened, last year with the boondoggle that was the release of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and NFL Blitz, you certainly haven't earned any trust with that. So maybe developing a better public communication strategy and to your fans would be a really good start. And then something else P-Dub said at during his stream tonight that really rang true with me as well is a better way of dealing with potential influencers. Now, when P-Dub says this stuff, like, he says it in very vague terms, and I don't think he's trying to throw anybody under the bus. But what Arcade1Up has done historically is they've kept everybody very close. So like they had a really close relationship with Console Kits and Retro Ralph. At one point, it was just Console Kits and Retro Ralph, and then the guys over at the Retro Buzz. They were like the only people they would talk to. It was more of a friendship arrangement than it was, a communication strategy to your potential influencers. Now, Arcade1Up did try to change this, but in the strangest way, where they just stopped talking to YouTubers and only talk to, like, I remember talking to Gabe Gerwin, who Gabe is with I can't remember what company you're with, Gabe. Forgive me for that. But they were talking to actual media sources, like accredited media sources, and they were doing it right. They were doing it right by doing presentations to those people all at once and giving them dates on when they could release the information. But for the YouTubers, they just weren't working with the YouTubers. It was like they had no interest in working with the community. Whereas, iArcade gets it. AtGames get it. iArcade has hired a marketing firm that sends out media blasts to influencers that are interested in covering their product. AtGames, they don't have a media firm. They might actually have a media firm now. I'm not 100% sure, but AtGames, where they don't have a media firm, does that part in-house, and they host it through a Skype thread where everybody's given the information all at the same time. This isn't some kind of secret friendship group where there's favoritism or anything like that. Not saying that there ever was. I'm not saying that. But they have an open system to do that. And, Arcade1Up, you guys have the opportunity to do that as well. I mean, you have a beta tester program. Maybe that could be part of the beta tester program. Something along those lines. Set up something where you guys communicate with influencers to make sure that the right information is going out, and we can help you without it being an inappropriate relationship. I don't know if there's a better way to say that, but I thought that was a really good idea P-Dubs had. And obviously, I know that I've been included in one of your more professional media blasts in the past. I got an email about the Golden Tee 3D pre-order, and I was on it with Retro Ralph and Cool Toy. That was really cool, by the way. That was like a highlight of my summer. But the truth is that should be the norm, not an accident or, a standard. You guys should have that information ready for all your big releases, so the right information gets out there and we can help you, and, you're helping us. That's the way this works. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. You give us information that's just normal information that's out there for everybody, and then we can make coverage on it in the right way and have the right information, especially since people go on so much rumor and innuendo and misinformation gets out there that doesn't help your company. So I thought what P-Dub said right there was excellent. Pitbull has a comment here. When they started, I talked to Arcade1Up when I did reviews for AVS forums. I had 1 million readers, and they said no. LOL, I was like, 1 million viewers. Yeah, I don't know. They have a very protective marketing strategy. I don't know why. It is what it is, Pitbull. I don't know. So, guys, going on from there, what else I think they should do to get ready? I don't want to say too much without bringing up this. A lot of people have already done it, so I want to bring up a scene from this past week, which I'm sure all you guys may have tuned into, was on B Kong's channel. My good friend B Kong, he had an excellent stream where he had John D on. They had the office party. They had a prize for him. Let me just bring it up here now. So I just want to show you. Oh, before we do, I do want to bring up this super chat from the Fist of Love. Thank you so much. $5 super chat. John D and Liv are not communication managers. It is highly unusual for regular employees to talk with the community. They need to hire someone. I agree with you, Fist of Love, but I also know that, unfortunately, this sucks, but I'm just going to say it. I don't know what their marketing plan is, but there is very little interest from Arcade1Up internally through their marketing department to work with the community. The community reach, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up his ass, has always been something John D's pushed for. It's something that John D prioritizes and knows that it's the secret to success for their company. I know John D's love is obviously the fight game community, so, you know, he... what's the right term? He gravitates more towards influencers and people that are really heavily into fighting games like he is. That's his interest, and that's what he works with. But he has a real good grasp on the fact we need community people. Now, we brought Liv in, and part of Liv's job is, in fact, to work on the direct-to-consumer market, and some of that community involvement is with the direct-to-consumer market. So technically, it is kind of her job. It is a push from John D. It sucks because it should be a priority for their company. You have a core fan base that feels very unloved, out of touch. It's weird. So I appreciate what you're saying, Fist of Love. I hear what you're saying. But at the same time, like, literally, that's the best we're going to get. And Liv technically is that person. So thank you very much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. So I want to go to the stream. So the cool thing is, John actually answered some questions there the other night. He wasn't just there to get gifts and then go bowling with Kongs and Mrs. Kongs R Us. But it was a really good stream. If you haven't, go check it out. Definitely should watch it. You know, love all the people here. B's awesome. D-Generation X, even though he's not a Gen Xer, because the last Gen Xers were 1980, like myself. And then, of course, John. So good stuff there. Anyways, go check out the stream. John said a lot of cool stuff. And for our benefit, luckily, our good friend, Biggie D, Daniel Grayson, on the Arcade1Up original fan page by Glenn Planamento GRS, put some highlights of the event there for us to go over. So I do want to cover this. Highlights of 2020 from their perspective was the Red Cross event, huge community event. A lot of people got great discounts on cabs, and it was a good building block for rebuilding the community and an introduction to Liv. That was a great start. Like, the rest of the year, unfortunately, didn't live up to that, but it was a great start for Arcade1Up, and things back in July were going in a good direction. Then, of course, Code Mystics. Code Mystics have really stepped up and showed why they're the best developer that Arcade1Up works with. We've always said it. We said, hey, guys, this game's going to be made by Code Mystics. We're good. We've always felt that way. One of the big boiling points last year was Killer Instinct didn't have spectate mode. They stepped in and they said, guess what, guys? Hold my beer. Here's spectate mode. And there's a chance we can do this with other games, too. So, anyways, Code Mystics, awesome possum. Love you guys. So, 100% right. Goals for Arcade1Up going into 2023, and I'm hoping this is the goals for the company and not just the goals for John D, but online ready at launch. Everything should be ready at launch. There's just nothing else. Like, if you're going to do DLC, make sure it's actually downloadable content and extras and not features that people are expecting. IPS monitors only going forward, 100%. What killed so much of what you did last year, as I've said in every video I've made, is the GD TN monitors you guys used last year. They were terrible. They are terrible. I mean, you guys released a brand new product line last year that should have been a crowning achievement for Arcade1Up in the XL line, and the monitors really took all the steam out of those. So I think 100% IPS monitors only going forward. Love that idea. Unique cabinet designs. I'm not as, even though I want arcade recreations, and I appreciate you saying that, there's certain times that unique cabinet designs aren't necessarily as important for me, because I love what you guys are doing with the current line, like Yoga Flames form factor. I know it's a midway form factor, Mortal Kombat, and of course, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That cabinet is awesome. It's comfortable. It's great for a fighting game cabinet. I think you guys have knocked it out of the park. So if you're going to have one swan design, I call it, going back to your original design, that should be it. But when you have a special cab, something like if you're going to do a missile command, like you did with Centipede last year, do it right, do it justice, do it love, and the people will reward you for it. If you build it, we will come. People will buy your cabinets if you do them right. Now, I said Centipede, and you guys screwed that up so bad with the screen, but I know. Building online infrastructure. I said this even though Justin shot me down the other night when we were doing our 3-hour stream. I agree with that. Building online infrastructure is so important. Right now, you guys have an online setup, and it's really good. I like playing online with people, but still, it's a little bit hard, especially when you talk about your fighting games. You have people that are really, really good at your fighting games. Then you have people like me that are dirty casuals. So if I go into a fighting game, I'm not expecting that I know every combo, know every move. I'm just going in to have a good time. And I want to be able to identify my friends and casuals and be able to easily access them. And that's not the case currently. Glenn knows exactly. Screen in the right orientation. Dear God, do not make another cabinet with a marquee game with the screen in the wrong orientation. Glenn is 100% right there. You can't do it. Not when you're making an arcade recreation. Multicades, we expect that we're going to have to put up with that, but you guys aren't making multicades, are you? So thank you very much, Glenn. So I got to go back to what I'm saying. So building the online infrastructure, you guys have a good base there, but you need to work on it. Come up with some kind of way in order to make this easier access, to have people be able to communicate. I know voice chat is something, that's why maybe the headphone jack is there in some of these cabinets that you want to set up, but is there some other way, some other system where you can set it up where we can get some kind of notifications? Like, say, for example, I really want to play P-dubs in Blitz, but I don't want to have to reach out to him over Facebook Messenger, schedule a time, and make sure we're ready. What if I'm just sitting around and all of a sudden one of my friends come online? Is there some way I can get a notification? Something. That's the kind of shit we want to see. Notifications on the cab maybe when one of our friends pops up, something. So if there's a way to do that, that's what you need to build. Like, your online is great. Leaderboards are great. All that stuff is fun, but is there a way you can bring it all together and somehow smash it into something really cool to make it super user friendly for the community? You've got something there. It's a unique feature that will have people buying your cabinets over buying a multicade where they're not going to be able to play these games online. Make sure it's right. Wasn't Mike Hawk-Hertz? I think might have been Mike Hawk-Hertz, or I can't remember if I'm saying the wrong person. During P-Dub's stream said all three of the companies have online gaming now, but at best, a lot of it seems very amateurish. You have an opportunity to do something special on these cabinets, see if you can make it happen. So hearing building the online infrastructure is a key goal, that's good. And then last but not least, grow the Arcade1Up community. You aren't going to do that unless you work on your communication, and you have to treat yourself like a small company that truly appreciates the fan base, understands the fan base, and is listening. You guys can do it at times, but you got to get better at it. And this idea that, well, none of the big gaming companies do it, I'm not trying to throw you guys under the bus, but you're not there. You haven't built the level of trust that Nintendo, that Sony, that Microsoft have built year over year over year. You're not at that level. You'll get there in 10, 15 years when you've become that company, but you're not there yet. And especially coming out of last year, you need to take a look. You're what hurts, Mike. I don't understand that. Oh, Mike Hawk hurts. But anyways, you have to rebuild your relationship. And some of that comes from making sure your products are what you say they are going to be, and your products come out better than you guys have been doing it. Because let's be honest, there's some quality control issues. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's the fact that you guys don't really have quality control. Like, you have a quality, in my guess, this is my guess, you have a quality control guideline that you hand off to your third-party manufacturers to follow, to test when the stuff goes out. But at the end of the day, there's no first-party quality assurance before these cabs come out. It doesn't seem like there's any hard copy beta testing before these machines go out. And I don't know if it's your production schedules or how it works, but I'll go back to last year. When Killer Instinct came out, the beta tester was supposed to be Twisted Gaming TV. He got his cabinet the exact same week the cabinets reached the ports here in the US. So how much time did he actually have to beta test the physical cabinet to give you feedback on how well it performed before those cabinets went out to retail? Zero. It's already too late at that point. And that's where you guys have constantly run into mistakes, is the production time is too close to the sales time. And maybe there's nothing you can do about that. Maybe that's just the way your business model works. But there's got to be some way to make sure that the one mistake thing that people keep bringing up about you, you do away with. There's got to be some way to do it. I'm sure of it. Anyways, most important points. Possible in future. Hydro, Thunder, and Afterburner. Lots of hurdles to make more. One game could be difficult. By the way, Biggie D, these notes are fantastic. So Hydro Thunder, that'd be dope. I'd love to see a Hydro Thunder cab. And Afterburner, they did a community poll on this. It got less votes than Qbert. So I'm very interested in to see why you think Afterburner could work if Qbert can't. That's shade. Just a little bit of shade. But Afterburner would be cool. I think one game cabinets can work depending on what game it was. I went into detail about this with T2. T2, you guys did, and you guys did a great job on it. I like my T2 cabinet, but you did T2 as a one-game cabinet, and still it wasn't arcade accurate. I mean, if you're only going to be putting one game on there, that better be arcade accurate. And maybe you couldn't do it. You had Sinden light gun technology. The original cab didn't really use light guns so much as it used those potentiometer guns. And, like, you know, the guns weren't hardwired. People took them off. It was the fact that you did one game on a cabinet and then didn't do it right. I will die on that mountain. I might be wrong, but that's my mountain to die on for that one. MVC2 online plays in QA. That's good. As soon as we can get out there, I think a lot of the bad taste in the community's mouth will be gone, and people will be willing to trust you guys again so we can see more stuff. Free MK4 movement. Company is listening. They're getting closer to making an MK4. We can't make a Qbert, but the MK4, we're listening because some vocal people said a bunch of stuff over Twitter. Do a poll. See how many people want it. Just being a jerk about that. Working with Geekworm to create a dongle for Game Catcher via HDMI. I think there's already a Geekworm out there, but if you can get something that's hard tested to make sure it works on everything, that'd be awesome. If there was some connected dongle that either you sold or just came with the cabinet itself. One of the things I noticed with Killer Instinct Pro, I don't have the cabinet yet, so I can't confirm. Of course, we know about the issue with the sound not coming through the HDMI. Hopefully you can fix that. The other thing too is it's all the way in on the USB, and maybe that's the easiest way to do it, but it would be nice if there was some kind of dongle that actually came out and was in the back of the cabinet, so you could just plug your HDMI into the back of the cabinet without having to unscrew the back every time you wanted to do it. Kind of like what you do with your power cord. So that's a free suggestion. Feel free to take that one. That's on me. So I think a dongle would be a really cool idea. Hopefully you guys can offer that. I mean, I don't care, but for streaming, especially if you're trying to build up your fight game community and your online communities, that's going to be so important. With spectate mode from Code Mystic, which you guys are going to pay for, and they're going to get it working on all your games, then people can start having online communities, and you can really build this fighting game community that you want to build. CES will only have small announcements, nothing major. That's what I said as well. I think you're going to pay the bills. So legacy cabs. I don't think you're going to have anything else. Maybe. I'd like to see some other stuff, but I think right now with a global recession coming on, your first priority should be pay the bills. Here we go. Video Teo 008. with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. With a track record of the releases for years, we can see that regardless of discussions and speculation, we all know we just have to see how each release goes. Love the channel, Mike B. Thank you very much, Videoteo008. I think you're spot on with that. I'm going to be doing a video in a couple days about my New Year's gaming resolutions. I did it as a stream last year. I'm going to do a video this year because it's going to be a little bit different, and I don't want to talk about it for an hour. So even though I bought a lot of stuff last year, which I didn't plan on buying, I didn't buy it right away. In fact, I think I only bought like 2 cabs right away last year. I bought everything I got from Arcade1Up on sale last year. So even though everybody's like, oh, Mike B buys everything, last year was a different year, and we'll talk more about it on my next video. So thank you very much, Videoteo008. I appreciate it. Oh, Jasmir Labir. That's an awesome comment. Give me a Tapper Skin Cab and Atari Cloak and Dagger. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. And I have always wanted a Tapper Skin Cab. We saw the one from the Miami Leaks that we know down here. The Miami Leaks is number 9 on the most important points. It was just a proof of concept that they had done up to sell to retailers. It's weird. It's almost like they sell these cabs to retailers, but I would love to see a Tapper. It's one I've always wanted to see. I'm a huge fan of John's Arcade, and it's prominently displayed in his arcade and all his arcade tours all the time. He talks about it. I've always wanted a Tapper cab. I absolutely love the game. I'm so stoked that we at least have Root Beer Tapper on the Midway Legacy. But I would love to see a Tapper Skin Cab. I talked about this. If you go back to some of my early interactions with this community, I was in the chat of a Retro Buzz one night when John D was on there, and I was like slamming the comments. I was like, make a Tapper with Root Beer Tapper and Timber on it. That's the dream cab for me there, but I don't know if we'll ever get that, but I sure wish we would. Thank you very much for the super chat. So, CES small announcements. Next up, Happy with Evo will likely continue to be involved and have a presence. Of course you will. You love fighting games. Fighting game fatigue. I like fighting games too. I understand it, but that's not that important to me. Maybe it is for a lot of other people that are hardcore fighting. Like when you announce your Capcom versus SNK cab this year, or your SNK cab, I'm sure the fighting game community will be very excited about it. Don't care what cab they do, but I want my Tapper with a fridge, and I need a casino cage to shut the wife down complaining about my cab. Clement Rousseau, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I don't necessarily need the fridge in the Tapper. I think it's a cool option. I would trade the fridge any day for my molded coin door, but I understand that people saw that and they loved that. They love that mod. I'm not that big a mod guy, so I apologize. I don't get that off there. Wrestling's on the go, so the wrestling chat guys are messaging me. Don't care what cab they do. So Clement, I hope we get it, and I think the casino cades, I think they'll happen. I got a weird feeling about that. They're definitely going to happen. And I hope they work too. Not because I want a casino cade, just because I want Arcade1Up to make a bunch of money so they can do weird and wacky shit and give us a Robotron. I will always say that. Always say that. Thank you very much for the super chat. So guys, moving down. Wrestling chat turning this off. Less is more wants less cabinet releases each year, more spread apart, emphasis on making sure games are 100% ready at launch. If there are problems that they're overworked at the production level and they're small teams, I agree with that statement 100%. But what I think that is more realistic, we're heading into potentially a global recession. People have less expendable income. People are treating the pandemic like it's over, or the pandemic's over. Whatever they're doing, people are not staying in their houses anymore. They're using their expendable income on vacations and travel now, whereas a couple years ago when you guys were absolutely blowing up, killing it, people were really building these home arcades in their basements. They did have that expendable income to spend on wacky shit like that because they weren't spending money on entertainment elsewhere. I think this is more of a necessary need, not so much for your reason of the internal, but also because the money's just not out there. The demand for your product isn't the same as what it was when we were in the heights of the pandemic and people had expendable income because their entertainment dollar wasn't being spent outside their house. All right. So New Year's resolution, better communication with community customers. I know you want that, John. Convince the rest of the company because it is so friggin' important. And I think the 1UP show is a good way to start, but needs to be looked at and maybe a little bit reworked and really make it a company-focused show. Make sure the company is the focal point on the show. And just be careful. You don't want to give too many answers that are company answers. Get down and dirty with your community and tell them the things they need to hear. Be honest, be straightforward, and believe it or not, I think people will appreciate you guys more for it. KI Pro thoughts. I don't have mine yet. I'm supposed to get mine either Wednesday or Thursday. Fingers crossed. I saw all the negative comments, guys, online. I see all the reviews about it. I'm still hoping I like it more than what people are saying. I still have high hopes. But I will say it's disappointing to hear about maybe some of the corners they cut with the cabinet itself. That's not great. I will be honest with you there. You put the term pro out there for a cabinet, people are expecting commercial grade parts, tournament level parts. They're not expecting you guys to get the cheapest version of those parts, so it's not that pro experience. It's hard to not listen to people like She Lion and her argument that this is really just an XL cab with a little bit better sticks. It's hard not to hear that argument and agree with them. I'll get mine this week, and we'll see. High hopes with the same wood. F that. I think they should have went with better wood, more like the thicker wood that at least iArcade uses. And one thing that people aren't complaining about, well, Sheila mentioned it, and I agree as well. Make sure your artwork is high resolution, so if you're expanding it, it has no pixelation. But also get really good vinyl on the side. The Arcade1Up vinyl is pretty thin and is prone to damage pretty easily. Get a good grade vinyl for your artwork on the side. Talk to Joe Zabo if you can, or somebody in the community that does really good stuff, and see what you guys can do there. And that's it from the video. So Biggie D, thank you very much. I can go back to the normal chill and chat where you guys comments are on screen again finally. Sorry that took so long, but I think that Arcade1Up, at least John and his team, they know what they have to do next year. They've got a good idea. If what John said during the interview with B comes to fruition, I think a lot of the things they need to do are moving in the right direction. But yes, Bill's Retro Gaming Show, I've watched everyone because obviously I'm waiting on my KI Pro, so I've just been a fiend for all kinds of content on it. Yeah, you said it, Michael B. We have not seen the Arcade1Up Tournament Edition. Sir Sega with a great comment as well. Bill's Retro Gaming Show, She-Line's video on KI Pro was fantastic. Everyone should check out her videos. So I've been watching a lot of the content, and she just made some really excellent points. Could they do another Frogger skin Legacy? Yes, they can. One of the reasons Frogger didn't work, there's lots of reasons why it didn't work. Mainly, I think that the game was never going to be accurate because they couldn't get the actual Frogger music licensed, so it just wasn't going to happen. That'll never happen. There's nothing they can do about that. Now, when it comes to the artwork on the cabinet, they can fix that because the artwork is actually owned by Sega. They have a relationship with Sega now, so it's only a matter of getting Konami to agree to it because I think they're part of the problem too. I think they want to change the look of Frogger for modern times, but if Arcade1Up can talk them out of it, they've got the relationship with Sega. They can make that Frogger cab happen. But unfortunately, where the Frogger cabinet came out before, it was a little bit of a dud. I don't know if they'll be willing to take that risk. Plus, Arcade1Up hates 80s gamers, so I don't think they're going to work on it. They only like the 90s and fighters. That's it. That's the only thing Arcade1Up wants to focus on. I kid, but I don't. So, one other thing I do want to talk about is another YouTuber who released a video this week, last week, and he really nailed one of the other big problems with Arcade1Up in the last little while and why people are so negative towards the product lately, I will say, or something like that. Why a lot of the fan base turned against them. And it was only a matter of time. I've been talking about it for a while. they raise their prices. And whether that is because out of necessity, which I think a lot of it is, or whether it's out of trying to increase their profit margin and grow their brand, maybe that's it. But they raise their prices. And honestly, I don't think the demand is as high at the price point they have out there. Their value statement for the consumer just isn't there. Maybe it's necessary to sell at that MSRP to interest companies like Best Buy and Walmart in order to buy their product. They need a specific profit margin in order to carry it. Maybe, I don't know. Again, I don't know their inner workings of how their company works, but their prices got too high. So 19K Fox did an excellent video there the other day where he came up with a pricing strategy, which I want to talk about right now and show you guys and see what you guys think. So 19K Fox put up this the other day, $149 for the countercades, $199 for the partycades. Completely agree. I don't know if it's feasible, but I agree. $499 for the legacy. He didn't really talk about this, but I would say I still think $399 is the sweet spot for the Arcade1Up 3/4. I don't know if they can do that. $499 maybe if it's done really well with all the bells and whistles. I think $499 is a fair price. Where I have a problem is we get into these $599 cabs, and like you talk about what quality they really bring into the table for $599. Like Marvel versus Capcom, $599. Blitz, $599. Were they really $599 cabs? I don't know what the right answer is, but at that price point, people expect a lot. But for $599, I think that is a fair price, a jump up for an XL cabinet, because realistically, all we're getting in the difference is a little bit more material to go to that larger size cab. I like right now the price point $699. We heard from Shaq himself at the thing. I think it was originally supposed to be $599. I don't know why it shot up to $699. No idea. But at $599, somewhere around there, I would be all in. Did you just PowerPoint 19K Fox's PowerPoint? I agree. So $599. $600 US, $699, somewhere between there for the XL cabs, and I love the XL cabs. And if you stay true to your promise of only using IPS screens going forward, those XL cabs, like I said in my review for NBA Jam, every other one I've done, this is what Arcade1Up should have always been. This is the level of cab they should always be for that price point. Then you get to the Pro cabs, and right now your Pro cabs are at $999. And that's going to be a hard sell, especially when they're not Pro. And right now, from people's feedback that we're hearing, the Pro cabs aren't Pro cabs. They're an idea of a Pro cab, but they're not far off what people would expect from an XL cab, realistically. So, there's a lot of things I like about the Pro cabs from what I'm seeing, but I think the biggest killer is the price point. So if there's some way you can knock it down, it's the impossible equation here, because right now people, like your fan base, like they're telling you, we're not going to buy your product at the prices that you're currently putting them out. We're not happy with your prices, but we also expect them to be the same quality. So you need to figure it out if you can do some kind of value proposition for these cabinets and sell them at a cheaper price point. I thought 19K Fox had an excellent point here. I don't know if the numbers are 100% accurate, but especially heading into a recession, people's wallets are going to be really tight, and they're going to have a hard time justifying any expense in their household unless it's a necessary expense. So you need to take your cabinets and figure out a way to make that a necessary purchase for people. And one of the ways to do it is to provide a lot of value for a low price. And I don't know if that's your model, if you can do it, but if you can, you would absolutely kill it. So thank you very much for 19K Fox. Everybody, go check out his full video. The rest of his video is chock full of information. It's not just this slide. There's a lot more to it. Go check him out. Anyways, guys, that's the price point. I think the price point is another big thing there. The price just got too high for these. The price skyrocketed due to, part shortages, recession, whatever the reason is. Parts went up and demand went down. Cost went up and demand went down. So I don't know how to do it. Octo, did he miss your super chat? I'm going to go back and check, because if I did, I am very, very sorry, Octo. I thought I got everything, but I am going back. I don't see a super chat. Octoman's PC. There we go. What about a blank cab? We got these things and add PC and screens anyways, right? That's a hard one. I don't know what to answer you on that. Like, your best bet for that is to get a failure cab. Like we had here in Canada over the holidays. I picked one up even though I already had a Pac-Man cab I was very happy with last year's Bandai Namco. I picked up the Pac-Mania Bandai Namco cab. And I know it has a shit screen, but it went on sale for $2.99 Canadian, which is the lowest I've ever seen an Arcade1Up go on for. And I have addiction problems, so obviously I was going to buy it at that price. So I don't know if they'll ever do a blank cab. I don't think that's going to be a possibility. The best bet that you're going to get close to that, if you want to mod them and put something like that in, is if they have a cab that's just a bus that you can pick it up at a low price and do it. But I don't think you're going to get there. That's my guess. But thank you very much for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. And sorry, I didn't grab it right away. Customizable cab, I don't think we'll get. And also, like, people have always asked this. What about an Arcade1Up where you can add more games? That's iArcade's model. That's not Arcade1Up's model. Arcade1Up's model is not so much selling the games as selling the cabinet. they're the other companies make a joke about it. They're a furniture company. Well, they're a furniture/toy company. So that's kind of where they're focused. And then last but not least, I do want to talk about this. I've only talked about, GG. Hi, Mike B. Happy New Year. Quick question this month. Will the Brick bring in the At Games mini pinball machine? That's what I've been told. $649 should be here around January. Keep an eye open. I'll see if I can get some more information and get back to you. But yeah, January is the target, and $649 is the price point for the Brick to bring in the Legends Pinball Micro. ALU is the closest thing. ALU is a multi-cade already. You don't need to do anything else. The only time you need to bring in a PC is if you want to do more modern shit. I'm pretty sure you can do just about everything right out the gate. So, and Zohar with his propaganda, Arcade is a Nintendo Switch company. So last but not least, I do want to talk about the games. I think that up front they just need to make their money. Oh, here we go. What about being able to choose the quality components on your Arcade1Up? Jasmine Labir says. This is something B. Kong was asked a couple days ago. I think it was B. Kong during his show, or it might have been 19K Fox, or it might have been Console Kids. I've watched a lot of YouTube the last little while. But the problem with that is these are mass-produced. So Arcade1Up, it's very hard for them to do the customization level. Like, it's easy for a company like Game Room Solutions or Buy Stuff Store, even though they're awesome, they're like mom and pop shops and they're making everything individually for you. Arcade1Up is getting third-party companies in, overseas to mass produce these. And it's the only way they can make it economically viable to sell them to the distributors at the price they currently are to make a profit. That's what we understand. So I think being able to choose your components would be a hard thing. There was a while ago where Arcade1Up had a parts store on their website, and if anything broke, you could go and order replacement parts and stuff like that. I don't know if they could offer some kind of service where you could also offer buy parts afterwards, but again, I don't know if it'd be cheaper just to buy them yourself, and I think that's what they fall back on, is there's so many third-party modders and other companies that, let's be honest, they like working with companies like, they support, well, they used to support the third-party developers to make marquees. They were happy that they were creating these other lines of businesses. So I don't know if they'd be interested in doing it. That's an excellent question. If they're doing a pro cab, maybe that's something they could look at where it's a very low number, and then you could customize what you could have, like a drop down on what options you wanted in your cab, as kind of what Liv is trying to do through her direct to consumer market. Maybe that's something they could look at. But in terms of like the regular 3/4 scale cabs that are going to consumers, those, I don't think that's possible. Zero Hero, what's happening, brother? Thank you very much for the super chat, by the way. So in terms of the games, I think all we're going to see up front is they've got to make their money, sell their legacy cabs to Walmart, Best Buy, all those other companies. Boom, that's going to be done. But going on, I think maybe we'll get a year like last year. I still think the Star Wars re-release is going to come out, and let's be honest, that's a lot like a Legacy Cab. I plan on doing a video on that pretty soon. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but I do have a fun video planned on the Star Wars re-release, but hopefully we get some information on that in the very near future, and that's like a Legacy Cab too. They're going to sell like hotcakes, Walmart, people like that, they love Star Wars. They're going to pick them up. That's going to be a good seller for Arcade1Up, but I actually don't know if that is going to Walmart. I think that might be a Arcade1Up and Shop Hippo exclusive in the US. I don't know about the stuff that's happening with Best Buy here in Canada, but we'll see. Videoteo 008, number one wish, Robotron Cab with great joysticks and leaderboards. I 100% agree with you, Videoteo008. Thank you so much for the super chat. Just wait. I'm going to bring it up as well. No Walmarts. None sell 1-ups any longer near me. None of the three. Well, it's possible. It's possible those Walmarts have sold out. We'll see in the very near future once the CS announcement come out, Pitbull. So, anyways, one sip of coffee, guys. I want to get into the sports one. So I'm just going to be really quick and say this too. There's a lot of people out there in the community that are making speculation and guesses that Walmart and Sam's are done with Arcade1Up. They talk to an employee, or you don't see them at your specific Walmarts anymore. That doesn't mean that the company Walmart Global is done with a certain product. Now, your local manager might have some say in what they're doing specifically with their warehouse space, and they have some control, and they're saying, listen, we don't really sell a bunch from here. They take up a bunch of warehouse space. We're not going to carry them in store. So that might be a possibility. But in terms of Walmart being done with Arcade1Up, Arcade1Up wouldn't be here for Walmart. This is a product they wanted. So I don't know about that. We'll see after CES and the new Legacy Cabs come out how done Walmart is with Arcade1Up. Maybe specific stores are done. The Sam's Club thing too, people are making a lot of comments about like, oh man, Blitz is selling for $139. That's it. Sam's is done with Arcade1Up. Keep in mind, at the same time those sales are going on for Arcade1Up at Sam's, the Legends products, the ALU, the ALP, and the ALU Mini have also been blown out as well. But I haven't seen anybody saying, hey man, Sam's is done with that game. So I don't understand the difference between the two products. Obviously, it looks like Sam's are trying to clear out these home arcade products. Maybe they're noticing that they're taking up too much warehouse space and they're not selling at a level that justifies the expense that the space takes up that they could be offering to something else. That's what I'll say. I don't know what the answer is, but I will say nothing's as simple as what it seems, and there's always different layers. So we'll see. Maybe they are done with them. All I know is we'll see after CES. Sterling Hall, $5 super chat with an awesome comment. Arcade1Up seems to be trying to sell nostalgia. This is why they should stick with the 80s. They've said it themselves. They've said, we are Arcade1Up. We are the purveyors of nostalgia. Purvey nostalgia. So many 80s games out there. I just wish the people at Walmart knew what they were so you could make them. Thank you very much for the super chat, Sterling Hall. I appreciate it. All right, so games. I got to get to this before I finish, guys, and I'm running a little bit late. So in terms of games, I think this is going to be a slow year for Arcade1Up. I think that Star Wars is going to happen because it's technically another Legacy Cab. I hope retailers will be willing to pick it up. I think people are going to pick it up. Then we move on, and we've got to talk about the Legacy Cabs. Whatever, they're going to be coming out. They're going to be done. Hopefully they do something cool with those. Maybe Street Fighter will go into the 3s and the alphas. Maybe Mortal Kombat will get Mortal Kombat 4. Something new and enticing. Something to make us excited that these are actually coming out. But when it comes to big releases, I don't know what's going to be happening this year. I go back to that comment again. We are headed into a recession. Like all the things I want to see happen. Like I want to see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles XL cab. I want to see another Pro cab or a lot more XL cabs. A lot of their other releases go on XL. But in order for that to happen, there has to be demand. So I hope that their legacy cabs Retailers buy them up, that goes well, and then retailers show further interest in coming back and getting other products for them. They come back and get more interest in the XL line, and they make a resurgence with better screens. But in terms of games themselves, the only one I've really seen a lot of stuff on is UAG has made a bunch of videos on WrestleFest. UAG is obviously very close with John D, so there's a possibility that WrestleFest is coming out, but we'll see. I don't think it's anywhere close, and if it does come out, obviously there's going to be some changes. It's not going to be WrestleFest. Someone mentioned earlier new pixel render for it, and I don't want to see that. Just make WrestleFest. So we'll see what happens there. In terms of Time Crisis, it's probably going to be delayed. We saw the prototype version that was being sold to retailers. One of the things I really liked about it, it seemed like they were moving away from risers. I think a riserless future is a good thing. You can still do risers, but if you do the risers, do them so they're seamless, so it looks like it's part of the cab. That's my guess on that. So Pitbull on arcades, not going to happen when 18 eggs are $8. Yeah. That's very true. So anyways, Time Crisis was a crisis indeed. Yeah, that was not a good looking cab. So hopefully they figure that out. The problem is not the riserless design of it. It's just rework it a little bit so it looks closer to the arcade. It looked closer to the Coleman's cooler you had put down there. So hopefully Time Crisis, maybe it's delayed. There's nothing that we can see in the horizon in the near future. And if it happens, it's going to happen later in the year. So we'll see what happens. But again, I think a riserless future is a good thing for the 3/4 scale. Just eggs on iArcade are cheaper than in store. That's a good comment. And you're here just to troll me, aren't you? 90s are my fave. I know, Zohar. You've made that clear. 80s arcade history, and that's what I like. I like arcade history, and I want to see more iconic classic arcade games. You don't like the classics. It's cool, but you're really good at bubbles. I will tell you that. I've been trying to up my bubbles game the past couple nights, and it's not working very good. Anyways, in terms of games, the only thing I've heard anything about is WrestleFest, and possibly the Time Crisis cab that was supposed to come out last year. Maybe we get some kind of update on that coming out this year. And this may be sad for everybody, but I think a lot of what Arcade1Up is going to be able to do this year is going to depend on their sales early in the year, and if they can make enough money to cover their operations from the early legacy sales. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thank you very much, Retro on Limb, unless you're talking to somebody else, and then that person deserves that credit. Let's have both 80s or 90s. Yes, here's the thing. I'm not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't want to get rid of the 90s. It's just obviously when you take a look at the scales of Arcade1Up releases, 90s are currently outweighing 80s by a fair margin, and it doesn't make any sense if you look at the history of arcades and the history of the best-selling games. So I don't understand. I'm Pitbull, give it up. Oh my God, speaking of, I'm getting a dedicated Bubbles cab. I could throw up. A couple years ago, it's not on my Instagram anymore, but I still got the pictures. I had an opportunity to buy a Bubbles cab with no guarantee on the condition it was in for $200, and I chickened out, and a friend of mine bought it and refurbished it, and then sold it to another guy who then just sold it to somebody in BC for $3,000. $200, and this cab was amazing. Artwork was pristine. I might have had to do some work on the monitor. That was about it. Apparently, joystick, everything was working, so I'm heartbroken I never bought that Bubbles cab back then. All the rest of the cabs look like shit, but that Bubbles cab looked so good. WrestleFest, they are killing me with. They got to have them for player cabinets. Yeah, I know, Pitbull. What the hell? I'm but you had to understand, I was in this guy's basement, which wasn't a basement. There was rocks on the ground. Honestly, the quality, everything made me so sketchy about it, but the cabinet ended up being perfect. I was heartbroken, and it's such a beautiful cabinet, too. For your continued footage and coverage of this wonderful community, bravo, sir. Thank you very much, Retro on Limb. I greatly appreciate that. So anyways, guys, in terms of titles this year, expect the Legacy cabinets. Expect maybe WrestleFest later in the year. Maybe Time Crisis. But hopefully sales go well early in the year. This idea of a recession doesn't happen. And Arcade1Up is doing so well, they can put together some shit and come out with some cool shit for us that we haven't seen before. New and exciting stuff that we've all been asking for. And they have heard your demands. Q*bert and Robotron 2084 in 2023. Anyways, I won't keep you guys any longer. I've been streaming long enough as it is. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I'm glad to be back. 2023 starting out. I'm trying to have a positive, fun year, no negativity, and hopefully Arcade1Up does what's necessary to make themselves successful this year and give us all the cool shit we want to see and deliver a better product with better communication and make sure there's no issues coming out of the gate. And I hope everybody gets what they want. I hope Zohar and the fighting game community get their MK4. I hope I get my Robotron 2084. And poor P-Dubs, give him his Q*bert. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. Everybody have a wonderful night. This is Michael B. I'll talk to you guys next time.